People always ask how I balance my family life with 400 shows a year. I'm just doing what I love with the people I love. It's my magic life.
I like Wes Iseli. I like everything about him.
All right, on today's episode, we have a lady we met on the set of Fool Us. We've had her on the podcast before. It's actually season 1, episode 10. This lady is a martial arts expert, a former bounty hunter. She works on TV production companies like Fool Us, The Real World, and many others. Every time I meet her, I am more amazed, and she's a rock star. And we, Natalie and I, are truly happy to call this lady a friend. Everybody, it's Uyen Vu. What's up, girl?
Well, hey. I love you guys too, and I agree with you. I think every time that we speak with one another, I think the friendship bond grows stronger and stronger. And for that, I am blessed and thankful to have. Throughout your walk of life, you meet many different people, and some people come and go through your life, but always grateful to meet people that stay in my life, and we become, good friends to eventually, becoming basically family. So for that, I am truly grateful, and I am also grateful that you guys have me back on again.
Oh, anytime. You, so we first met you on Fool Us, and
Yes.
You were so awesome to Lana, and we had this bond, and since then, man, it's been phenomenal. We were talking about you even starting a podcast of your own, and it's going to be kind of an empowering women episode once a month, and Natalie is going to be on that episode with you. So
yeah.
I can't wait to see what that's going to turn out to be like.
I think it'll be
It's
fun.
going to be awesome. Just wait and see.
Just,
It's gonna be
I have enough on
amazing.
my plate, girls. Don't make me do the marketing for that one as well.
What? No. I think this will be fun.
But so what have you been up to? What's going on?
Since the pandemic hit, everybody's been affected one way or another. But one thing I found to do with my time at home when we were all on, our lockdowns in our country, I went ahead and got my life coaching certification. I realized that I was already doing that a lot already in my martial arts career. When I had my own studio, one of the jobs, I always told people I wore different hats as a martial arts instructor. I'm not only teaching them martial arts, but I'm teaching them self-confidence, how to build confidence, how to focus better in school, concentrate better in school. Another benefit was, getting in better shape, losing weight. But a big hat that I wore oftentimes that people don't think of when you think of a martial arts instructor is kind of like a therapist. All my students came to me and talked to me about, issues that were going on in their daily lives or obstacles or adversities that they were facing. And they would ask me, for my thoughts and opinions. And then I had parents coming to me, talking to me about, issues like, hey, Johnny listens great when he's in here with you. He follows directions. He listens, he pays attention, he's afraid of getting in trouble, but then when I come home, it's a different story. How can I get Johnny to be the same way at home as he is in here with you guys? And so I realized that, hey, I've already been doing life coaching and giving people, advice, opinion, my thoughts and whatnot. So, but it was never a certification for it. It was never something, I wouldn't say not legit, but, for some people out there, a certification of some kind would go a long way to give you that extra credibility.
Right.
So I went ahead and went through a program online, and we met due to everything. We met every week, online and did our classwork and all that. But I went through the process, took the course, completed it. So I am also now a licensed and certified life coach.
Wow. Just another thing to add of your list of things that you are. That's amazing.
What was the advice you gave Tommy's mom? Did you tell her to get a black belt so you could kick his butt just as easy as you could? That's how he stays in line here. I threatened to whip his butt.
Then I would have gained another student, though. Hey.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I basically told Johnny's mom, I said, look, it's all about consistency. It's all about making sure that you stay consistent with what you want. You have to enforce it. You have to be firm. The kids, they need direction. They function better if they have a routine. They function better if you tell them what's expected of them. They need to be told, because they're at that age where they're still learning. They're still soaking up information. They're still navigating, who they are, what, in relation to, their role at home, their role in school, their role with their friends. So we as adults, I told her, I go, you're the parent. You need to dictate. You need to set up the boundaries. You need to set up the guidelines. And then you also need to be firm, and you have to enforce it. So I said, getting your son to follow directions and be respectful, and it really isn't that hard. He knows what is expected of him when he walks in the door. He knows what is expected of him, how he's supposed to act and conduct himself when he's in here. And he knows that if he doesn't follow that, then there will be consequences and repercussions that follow along with it. And if he doesn't like the consequences and repercussions, well, then he better follow the rules that were set out from the get. And I always tell, as a rule of thumb, we can never assume that they know already. So, like, for example, with my daughter, I always tell her, hey, listen, you didn't know about this before, so I'm going to explain to you now. But if afterwards, and you continue to make the same decision, you've already been told what is expected of you, and you make this decision, then the next time around, there will be this type of consequence or this type of, repercussion. So if you don't want that to happen, don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think with kids, the more information you give them, the more you tell them what is expected of them, it's just that much better for them. So they need that structure.
Yeah. There you go, Wes.
I mean, you have 3 kids, so I'm sure, Alana being the first one, she knows what's expected, what mommy, daddy expects of her, and she knows, hey, if I don't do what mommy says, this is going to happen, or,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she knows if I go running to dad's probably going to say, what did mommy say now?
Yeah, and she learned at a very young age how to behave at magic shows so that, she wasn't an issue. Yeah.
Right.
So
she knew, okay, we're at a show now. This is how I'm supposed to behave. This is how, what's expected of me. And that's the thing that boils down to. And I don't think that just applies only to children, but as adults as well, in our relationship as adults with one another. I think communication is a very important issue, not only for children, but for adults as adults. I think the common issues that most people have most of the time boils down to communication, failure to communicate properly, failure to want to communicate. So it's very important. Communication is the key.
Yeah. Yep. And I think it's a lot of follow through as well. Wes and I, when we first got married, we were like, yeah, we're not going to have kids because, all we saw were wild children just running crazy from, the people we had close to us. So,
well, not only the families we had close to us, but it was also at shows.
Yeah.
We're seeing these parents, these millionaire parents, that if the babysitter wasn't around, they didn't know how to behave.
Right. And so, until we saw a family that, he wanted us to meet his wife and kids, and we're like, oh, crap. And he brought them to dinner, and they were so well behaved, and it's like, oh, look at that.
Well, it was a magician friend of mine, and he had 5 kids, and we were like, oh, no, I'm not going to get a word in edgewise.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's when we're like, maybe we can do it.
It really is. My daughter is the same way. Sometimes we'll be out in public, or when we go to dinner or something, and she sees other kids misbehaving or throwing temper tantrum. She'll look at me and go, "What is wrong with them, Mama?" And I'm like, "Exactly."
That's funny.
It's just such a weird thing for her to witness, because she knows that, hey, that's not how to behave, especially when we're in a public setting.
Yeah.
I tell her, every family's different, honey. Just because you know how to behave properly doesn't mean every other kid your age is going to know that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So, like I said, life coaching, it's just, I was doing it already before and offering it to my students and their parents and whatnot. And now I'm just like, one thing that I found about being a martial arts instructor was throughout the years, all of the letters and cards that I would get from my students, and the main theme that kept resonating across all of them and everything that they wrote me was like, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for giving me that advice, or thank you so much for guiding me down this path and this and that. and I realized I can still continue that even if I'm not teaching martial arts. And that was one of the most rewarding things being an instructor, was to be able to give productive input and advice, and to see your students grow and just take off with it. So I wanted to continue with that part even if I'm not teaching martial arts.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
Yeah. So I think with the podcast, I think, like we mentioned earlier, I want to incorporate, something where we do regularly, whether it be once a month or whatnot. But I want a segment where we just talk about issues of women in the world, how we move about in the world and how we are, the different roles we play and the different issues that we might face. Or it could be a whole big... it's just so general. There would be so many things to talk about. But also on my podcast, I want to be versatile enough to be able to talk about topics that everybody can relate to, whether it's a child or an adult, or someone sitting at home looking for something to listen to. I want to be able to incorporate this podcast where it's easy, fun to listen to, but also you'll be able to walk away from it with some kind of information that you didn't have before listening to it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it sounds great. I think it's going to be fun to do. I really do.
I think so too, and I don't want to say that I'm tech savvy at first. But I also realize with all the things that we have, all the different platforms that we have nowadays to reach out to people, that it's like if I don't get on board and be a part of it, I'm just going to get that more left behind and not being current with everything. So this podcast is really, I've always thought, who am I to start a podcast? It's like, what's the big deal? I'm just being me. But I also realized, like Wesley was telling me the other day, hey, you have information that others might be interested in, or hey, your experiences. There'd be other people out in the world that might be, interested in it, or maybe have experienced it, or maybe are going through it. You never know. Gotta put yourself out there. So this podcast is that first leap. Put myself out there, on a very public forum.
You're quoting me wrong, Win. I didn't say people might be interested. I said, I know people are interested. No, I mean, I'm sitting here. So if you guys didn't listen to season 1, episode 10 with us interviewing Win, I'm on YouTube right now. I haven't seen the video since I talked to you last time. But look up on YouTube, I'm a bounty hunter /mylifeglam.com. If you just type in I'm a bounty hunter, my life, it should pop up. But it's like a Vice Guide type story of following you as a bounty hunter. And this is, I've said it before, and I'm quoting Shrek, but, the chick is like an onion. There's just so many layers to her.
Yeah.
But every time I talk to you, I mean, you have more layers. I mean, this badass bounty hunter is just the tip of the iceberg. And, I was talking to you about, your Fool Us experiences. And do you have an NDA? No. And your real world experiences. Do you have an NDA? No. And what other television shows have you worked on?
I've worked on MTV Music Awards. I've done the Billboard Music Awards for a few seasons. I've also worked behind the scenes on the Miss USA pageants and the Miss Universe pageants.
Wow.
Let's see, I've done the American Country Awards a few seasons. So, yeah, quite a few shows.
So the way that these podcasts work and the tags and all these different things, you put that on your Instagram one day that's saying, bounty hunter, Glock, Smith & Wesson Glock in your tag or whatever. You might get a new fan that day that follows you, and yours is so diverse. You could tag Garth Brooks in one episode and then tag Smith & Wesson Glock, or, a perp, hunting down a perp or something. I mean, you are so vast, and Real World and MTV and all these. My tags are Magic and Wes Iseli, Natalie Iseli, and whoever we're getting. But your tags are so diverse. You can pick up people from all over. I'm envious of you. I'm jealous of you. So your podcast could really, really take off if you market it correctly, and you'll pick up new listeners every single week, girl.
I'm excited, and honestly, you're the one that put that in perspective for me, Wes, because I was just like, I'm just being me. I'm just doing what I do. And you're really the one that said no. You go from one end to another end of the spectrum. You're doing so many different things. You wear so many different hats, and that's when honestly I have to tell you, you're the one that really lit that fire underneath my rear end and said, okay, let's do this. And yeah, I went home. I downloaded that app that day when we were sitting there together that morning, and I was yesterday I was going to go through it, but I didn't have time. But this morning I sat through and I set up the account and everything. So honestly, I have to thank you guys, because of the support that you guys have always been supportive of me, and you're really that first push that I needed. So thank you.
Well, my thing is, there's enough work to go around in the magic community. There's enough podcasts that, not everybody's going to want to listen to me talk every week. And, I want to hear from a martial arts bounty hunter / television executive. And, you have all these different hats and, there's enough to go around. It's not like you can't have too many podcasts. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
I really don't believe in that. So, and, another magician coming in the world, welcome. Because, you go out there and get your job. I'm not jealous. Heck, go.
Right.
I hold my friends up high. And that's what this podcast's about. It's about showing off my friends. Look who my friend is. My friend is Wen. Have you seen her Vice Guide story? Have you seen her mode story on YouTube? Oh my gosh, she is awesome. That's what it's all about. It's
I think that's what makes that. I think that's also part of the reason why we've become friends, and we're so compatible with each other as a group of friends, because we have the same mindset. We want to empower the people that we love. We want to empower the people around us. I've always believed in the mantra: the more people I help in life achieve what they want, the more I'll be able to achieve what I want in life. Because let's face it, we live in a society where everything globally is at a touch of a fingertip now, right?
Yeah.
You've got listeners listening to your podcast from all around the world, whereas maybe 15 years ago it was probably there, but it wasn't as accessible and affordable. But now it is. The world's changing, and so we are one of millions and billions around the world. So the more people I can reach and the more people I can help, and whether it be something as small as just helping them getting organized and learning how to time manage, or it just doesn't matter. The more people I can help accomplish whatever that they want to accomplish, it's going to help me with my goals and helping me to get where I want to be. Because sincerely, one of my goals in life really is to help as many people as I can, to help them experience their life and live it to the biggest potential that they're capable of, and helping them realize that each and every one of us out there, you have what it is in you to accomplish whatever it is that you want. But you have to recognize it. You have to believe in it. You have to manifest it. You have to put it out there in the universe. You have to believe in you. And I want to be able to help as many people as I can to get on that same mindset as well, and realize, there's hard work that you have to put into along the way to get there. But the biggest hurdle of all is your mental block. So let's take that mental block away, and let's charge you in a positive way and get you going on the right way.
Also, me coming up with, empowering my friends and really holding my friends on high, that all changed when I had kids.
Yeah.
Because when you see your friend's success, it's like seeing your kid take a first step.
Right.
It's not you're jealous. Yeah, I can walk too. You're walking, I'm walking. All right, kid,
Right.
yeah, walk. No, it's, I helped that person get there.
And a source of pride, because you could say, hey, I helped do that. I was a part of that. And that right there is powerful in itself.
Well, and it's not about bragging to go online and say, hey, I helped this guy get this booking. It's not about that.
Right.
It's
no, definitely not.
It's in your heart that you help this person be successful.
Right.
It's like charity. You're helping your friends out, and when we do our charity work, sometimes it's not on video. Sometimes no one ever knows what we do. But daggone it, doesn't it feel good? It's still, it's not like we get anything out of it. But boy, does it feel good when you hold your friends up high and you help them accomplish their goals and dreams.
Definitely, because you are your friend's support system and vice versa. You know, we don't do things. You know, I think you and I can both agree. We don't do things for the accolades and the public accolades on that. We do it knowing that, hey, I genuinely want what's best for you. Hey, I genuinely want to support you in all your endeavors because I know you can do it. I know you can get there. And honestly, you know, went through a lot of things this past year and kind of lost sight about the confidence area, but you really, that breakfast we had the other morning really helped me recharge that and remind me like, oh crap, you're right. You know, why am I letting, external factors affect my thinking and my thought process and my confidence right now? Because that's not me. You were the one that helped kind of remind me about that. So
sweet.
I totally agree with you about that.
Well,
you know?
two things. First of all, I am so sorry that I had to run like that, like I did. I was shocked, and then I felt horrible. I'm at a magic convention, and lots of times when I go to magic conventions, you can ask my friends, I don't eat at all. Like, I'll eat a Cliff Bar all day long.
You're on the go. You're trying to absorb it.
I don't want to miss anything.
Your time.
We met for breakfast at 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And at 10:45, I'm like, holy crap, I'm 15 minutes late to a seminar. I got to go win. And I felt horrible because we were in the middle of a conversation.
Can I tell you, I felt horrible because I didn't even realize that time flew that
Oh my
fast.
gosh. That's how much we care about each other. The conversation just flowed. It didn't even, I had no idea.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, it was crazy.
You know, I was just like, whoa, when you told me what time, I was like, already?
But,
I was like, we're almost going on to 11 o'clock already? What?
But the other thing was, I listened to Penn Jillette's podcast, Penn Sunday School, and he talks about the imposter syndrome I told you about, but I want the listeners to hear. Even Penn Jillette, with all the accolades he has, people say he's the greatest magician of all times, and they're the best team in magic, and he says, he has to face this imposter syndrome. Has the billing got out of control? Am I really, who am I? It's just me. Internally, I feel that way. I feel like a 7-year-old kid.
Right.
So, and I told you, you got to get out of that imposter syndrome thing, because you are a badass. I can't say it enough. I mean, everything about you.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
And, these stories, I mean, you could do multiple episodes of just talking about the real world and what you did behind the scenes and what was going on with the kids and, what you had to do with and what it's just...
Right.
And even taking one little bit, like, one day on set, this happened. And heck, you could fill an hour easy.
That's true. That's true.
So
you reminded me that there is so much information that I can share with the world that I compartmentalize it because, again, like I said, that's just me doing my my everyday thing. So again, thank you for reminding me that, hey, your stories, your experiences, some people out there in the world are going to be interested in it. You got to put it out there.
And how many people...
And honestly, that's that push, that confident push that I needed. And speaking from someone who, I meet people all the time say, you're so confident, you're so this, you're so that, you're so well-spoken, you're, it doesn't seem like you have stage fright or this and that. But to be honest with you, I'm truly, at the core, I'm an introvert. I'm a very private individual. I stick with myself. So you gave me that push that I needed to realize, like, oh yeah, shoot, it's not about me. It's my experience could probably help someone else out there. My experience could be, interesting for someone else out there, and I just need to put it out there and share.
And how many people have ever been stepped foot on a television set? And you've stepped foot on so many, and heck, I mean, even the beauty pageant circuit. I mean, there'll be people that tune in just to hear your behind the scenes thing at the beauty pageants.
That's true.
I mean, it's amazing. I'm jealous of all your little credits, because that would really... Mine is, all right, so this one time at a show, this happened. Okay, next episode, this one time at the show, this happened. Yeah. I can't wait to hear your podcast.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I never thought about it, but yeah, my experiences here and there with the people that I crossed paths with. I'll tell you one experience. I was driving Justin Bieber, and he was still very young at this point, and we were at the Billboard Music Awards. I remember him getting in, and he's matured a lot now, and he's married, so he's a different, he's a man now. But when I first met him, he was a teenager,
Right.
and he gets in the vehicle with me and goes, "Hey, sweetheart," and I looked at him. I turned around, I go, you know. I'm old enough to be your sister, probably your aunt. My name is Wynn. You're more than welcome to call me Wynn, or you can call me Miss Wynn. But, sweetheart, I don't think it works in this case. And it kind of caught him, it stopped him. I could tell because he was, shocked. And I looked over at his bodyguard, and his bodyguard kind of gave me a look like, yeah, he's not used to being told otherwise. And it wasn't me trying to be rude or disrespectful, but like, hey, I'm old enough to be your aunt. You don't need to call me sweetheart, okay?
Yeah.
And after that, to be honest with you, sweetest gentleman ever. After that, it was always Miss Wynn.
Aw.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
See?
So,
How many people have Justin Bieber stories? Every time I talk to you, you got another one.
Yeah.
that's true. And thank you again for reminding me that, So, because to me, those are just my own experiences myself. But you're right. It's interesting, and I should share it with people.
And the thing is, he says that you correct Justin Bieber. The bodyguard looks at you, but he isn't going to say a word because you'll mop the floor with him too.
Probably. One thing also, one time, I remember we were in the truck, and he asked me if he could smoke in the SUV that we were driving, and there was a fat no smoking little tab attached to the air vents. And I looked at his bodyguard, and his bodyguard tells me, he's not used to being told no. He goes, but you don't work for him directly. You can tell him when you want to. And I said, well, the sign in here says no smoking, so I would prefer that you don't smoke. But, again, I'm going to leave that decision up to you. And I think because of the way I responded to him and the way I answered him, he chose not to smoke in the vehicle.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they get yes men when they're 12 years old, and then they grow into a 35-year-old man, and it's hard.
Yeah, it's true. When you're used to, being treated a certain way or whatnot, you get used to it. I almost feel, I don't want to say entitled, but you're just, hey, that's how it's always been. And then when you meet someone that throws you a curveball and then tells you, no, I'm not going to say yes to you on everything. I will tell you no. It kind of throws them for a loop for a bit. And again, that just goes to show no matter who you are, how famous you are, what it is that you do, at the end of the day, you're just a human being. And sometimes it's nice to be brought back down to that perspective.
Well, I had a student I was teaching magic to for, how long was that? 10 years? 9 years?
Wow,
Something.
that's a long time.
And, well, they were multi-millionaire. I mean, they would hire a tennis coach to come in. They would hire a magician to come in to teach him elective piano, English, Spanish, whatever. They'd hire all these different teachers to come to his house because they didn't want him abducted. They didn't want him kidnapped. They were afraid to send him to a regular school because they were uber loaded. And I'm teaching him class, and he's taking wasabi peas and throwing them on the floor. And he says it's funny because when people step on them, they almost pop, and it scares people. I said, okay, but who's going to clean it up? He said, oh, the maid will. I said, man, the maid's got enough to do. You don't need to throw messes around for her. And he said, oh, no, that's her job. Well, but you're doing stuff on purpose, dude. And nobody else is talking to him and explaining stuff to him.
Right.
And everybody else is just letting him get away, and they're afraid to lose their job.
Right.
But for me, I'm looking at a young kid with lots of money and trust, and he's going to go into adulthood being a jerk. And it's my place in that moment to say, I love you, man. Think your actions. Now think when you're 50 years old, 55 years old, and you're cleaning up after a 7-year-old kid throwing trash on the floor for me to pick up on purpose. It's not a cool thing to do.
It's not.
So I don't know if he quit doing it, but he quit doing it around me, and that's all I can ask. That's all I can ask.
That's all you can ask. I agree.
Yeah.
One thing I was taught going to, talking about people who grow up with in a certain environment and have certain, for lack of a better term, I can think of now, generational wealth, because they didn't create that wealth, their parent did, but they're reaping the lifestyle and the life that they have because of that. One thing my mom always taught me, she was just like, it doesn't matter what job you hold in life. You have to remember that person, regardless of the job that they do in life, they are honestly earning an honest living. And you can never knock anyone for that. You can never judge anyone for that, because that person is willingly going to this job every day, making a commitment to show up and to do that job every day. So you don't get a right to judge them. You don't have the right to look down upon them or anything. You have to look at it and respect them for the fact that they are honestly out there making an honest living to support themselves and their family members. So that right there, they deserve respect as a human being. So that when my mom put that in perspective for me, it really made a lot of different things crystal clear.
I was asked in an interview, how did he word it? How did Benny Pitts word it? Like something that really bothers you or something. Do you remember that question?
No.
Something that really irritates you, because I'm so happy and go lucky. And a comedian friend of mine, Benny Pitts from Vegas, he was actually in Florida when I was there this week. I couldn't hang out with him. But he asked me on his podcast, well, you're so happy and go lucky, and I inspire him. He tells me I inspire him to work out and to work on his craft. And anyway, what gets you down, Wes? What upsets you? Because you seem so happy and go lucky. I said the main thing, something that really upsets me, is people that don't do their job. That's my main thing. If you're working at a fast food restaurant, work that job. Do that job.
Right.
If you're driving Uber, do that job. Don't.
Right.
I don't know.
Do the job wholeheartedly and put your best effort into it.
Yeah.
Because whoever it is that you're working for, whether it be a big corporate or a small business, whatever it is, they're paying you for that time and that effort. So you got to put your all into it. And I agree with you. Whatever it is that you do, put your best into it. Otherwise, what are you doing? You're just wasting your energy, and you're wasting your time for nothing. And you're wasting other people's time and energy around them as well.
Boy, I tell you, in Vegas, we stayed at the Golden Nugget during this thing, and I tipped the janitor several times because they were in there just really on top of those bathrooms. You got drunk people coming in, peeing on the walls.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, but listen, but they did their job. They were in there working, and I go in there to pee or whatever, and man, I'd always give them a couple bucks because thank you for being here, because this thing could be a disaster. This whole hotel could smell like urine right now, but thanks to you.
Terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so just do your job. That's all I ask, and I'm not going to look down on them. God bless them.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
Exactly. And just having that mutual respect for another human being. That's what boils down to, because we're all human beings here on Earth, and the more that we can understand each other and respect each other more, it'll just make things a whole lot better for all of us.
Well, and you and Natalie doing this podcast once a month about empowering women.
I'm telling you, I'm so super duper excited to do this with Natalie. I think we're going to have a lot of fun because we'll be talking about, a wide range of topics, but particularly the segments that we do together will focus on, things that moms would deal with and wives would deal with and we as females deal with. And it could range anywhere from health to, work tips to time management tips, because, as a parent with multiple children like you guys, Natalie, as a mom, I'm pretty sure your time management is pretty on point compared to other people.
I try, but I do find myself running around like a chicken with her head cut off every once in a while.
Well, I think that's normal to feel that way. I don't think we'd be normal if we didn't feel that. But yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm excited to have Natalie along with this ride, and I think we're gonna have a really fun time doing it. And I think it's just gonna organically grow by itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's gonna be a blast.
Yeah, awesome. It'll be like our get together that we have, like our standing appointment with each other on a regular basis, and I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Wynn, I love you. Don't leave me out of it. I mean, I don't need to be on your women's podcast, but I love you too, Win. Don't forget about me, Win.
Of course not, Wes. Definitely not. Never even crossed my mind.
So, I know during the pandemic, you lost your father recently,
Yes.
and you started researching your family history.
Yes, I
Oh,
did.
cool.
You know, growing up, I heard stories about how my family came here, how my parents came about here. But to be honest with you, it was as if I was a kid and reading it off of a page of a book. It didn't really resonate with me. It didn't really, sway me one way or another. That's just all I knew. This is how my parents came here. This is what they did. But I think also it was different because I was a kid. I didn't know any better. I didn't have the maturity level to understand, the gravity of what they did to get over here. But yes, my father passed away a few months back, and it has prompted me to go back in. I researched, like, where did he come from? Where did he grow up in? What kind of family did he grow up in? What my grandparents and the generations before them did? And I found out information that just flabbergasted me. I had no idea. Even just an example, I found out on my father's side, I want to say, I'm not exact how many generations, but it's one of my father's great-great-grandfathers. We're talking about going back to the time when Vietnam still was run by like a dynastic form of government, where you had like an emperor and a queen. Well, one of my great-great-great-grandfathers, somewhere along that line, was actually the imperial physician for the king himself.
Wow.
And that just blew me away. And then I can see, on my mother's side and my grandmother, her side, where they came from and all the journeys they took to be, where they're at now. And it's just, I'm much more appreciative of it and the gravity of the sacrifices that they took to come here and build a life here in America so that my brother and I could be born and raised here. It has so much more meaning to me now, and it's been quite a journey. Everyone knows me as the bounty hunter. That's one thing that people know me most as, probably because you don't meet too many female bounty hunters out there. And I definitely think I'm almost, I don't want to say 100% sure, but I want to say in the 90th something percentile sure I'm the only Asian female bounty hunter out there. That's what they know me as most. But like we talked about earlier, I've done so many different things and wore so many hats. But what was my journey to get me there? How did I be the person I am? How was I able to live this life that I have, and to be able to have the choice and the ability to choose what I want to do, and the freedom to do all that, and the sacrifices that my family took to get here in order for me to have the life that I have, and my brother to have the life that, and now my daughter, being the second generation born here to have. So it has been quite a journey, and it's still ongoing because I'm still, researching and talking to family members, talking to my mother about incidences and events that happen, and many of these incidents are tied directly to major dates that you can look up in history books, like. You mentioned the other day you didn't know.
I didn't know. I'm hoping you get to it, please.
Yeah, about the date of April 30th, 1975. In history books, and I remember when I was going through school, the Vietnam War was something that was mentioned in the history book. Like, at one point, America was involved in the Vietnam War, and we pulled out in April 30th of 1975. Boom, that was it. But I didn't know at such a significant date how it affected my family. At April 30th, 1975, my parents, not having a dime in their pocket, leaving with only the clothes on their back, hopped on a boat. And they didn't know where this boat was going to take them. They didn't know how they were going to go about what they do after they got on the boat, but they knew that they had to leave the country because the country was lost to the communists, and it was being taken over, and life as they knew it was never going to be the same, and they knew that they had to leave and go to a different country in order to give their family and their children, their future generations, a better way of living. And that's why my parents did. And they you know, it's not like us. We want to go on a boat. We buy a ticket, right? And we get an itinerary, and we're told this is when it docks. This is when we stop over. This is when you get your final destination. No, they hopped on a boat, not even knowing where this boat was going to go. And it took them out in the middle of the nowhere, in the middle of the ocean, and they had to deal with storms and you know, weather conditions, and then dealing with pirates coming on board and plunging and pillaging and, you know, all sorts of things. And not having enough food on the boat, you know, and people dying off on the boat. And, you know, not my family particularly, but, you know, other families that are, you know, are thinking, dang, I don't know how I'm going to survive tomorrow, and this person passed away. Cannibalism runs across the thought, you know, things that you, like me, I would never have to ever find myself in that situation where I have to think something like that. Right. You know, just to know that they did all that, and then to come here to America with nothing, literally nothing in their pockets, and, you know, to literally to where they're at now, to where, you know, my father, God rest his soul, but he worked his whole life. At one point, he worked 3 jobs to support our family. And then that 3 jobs was so that they could afford to put me into my piano classes, or they could afford to put me into my martial arts classes, or whatever extracurricular activity that I've wanted to get into. Things like that. It's been quite, I don't want to say like relearning it, but it is in a way to rehear these stories now. I have a different understanding of it now as an adult, and also as a parent myself now, versus when I was hearing it growing up as a kid or a teenager, especially the teenage years. You know how that can go. We're all stuck in our own little heads. Right. You know, and not understanding that, you know, what our parents really do go through to give us the life that we have. Yeah. So it's been quite a journey, and I want to tie that into like my background story. As I was like, you know, people always say, "Oh, how did you get a bounty hunter? Or how did you do this? How did you do that?" It really goes back to, it's not all me. This wasn't all me. This was what my parents did to give me the opportunity to be able to do the things that I wanted to do, or give me the opportunity to be able to explore the different things that I wanted to do. So I know that me today, I'm not me because of me alone. I am who I am because of my support from my family, my support, most importantly, from my parents directly. So,
but the part that you forgot in that story was that your parents had to escape. They didn't just dock a boat with millions of people. They had to go through the jungle at nighttime so they didn't get caught.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had family members who literally had no, you know, my family, my parents, you know, I guess you could say they were fortunate enough to be able to leave on a boat, but I have other family members that couldn't leave on a boat or a plane, and they had to flee on foot, and they had to literally walk out of the country and walk to neighboring countries seeking asylum, seeking refuge, and having to walk at, walk during the night so that the communist soldiers don't catch them and kill them or bring them back and imprison them or whatever it is it may be. And living off of their environment, their surroundings, just to survive, just to get through the next day, and still not knowing for sure if they're going to ever land somewhere and be able to start a new life. But they knew that if they had stayed, that they wouldn't have a life. They wouldn't have to be able to, afford the ability to raise their children in a way that aligned with their ethics and their morals. They knew that life as they knew, the way it existed, was not going to exist anymore had they stayed in Vietnam. So they did anything and everything they could to leave.
That's amazing. I can't even imagine. Like,
I can't even imagine. And I heard the stories growing up, Natalie, and now as an adult, like I said, I have a totally different perspective of it, and I have a totally different understanding, and also a totally different overwhelming feeling of gratefulness for the sacrifices that the previous generation did, so that me, my cousin, everyone in our generation can have the life as we know it. We're Americans. We don't know anything different. I mean, I'll tell you, I've been back to my parents' motherland twice. I went once when I was a teenager, and that was a culture shock. And then I never went again that was, I think I was around 15 years old when I went. And then I only went again back in 2018. And, I'm going back there. And, I'm Vietnamese. That's my ethnicity. That's where my family comes from. But I'm not Vietnamese. I'm American.
Yeah.
I'm a born and raised, bona fide, U.S. of A.
Right.
So when I went there to see the perspective of how people live there and how the government is set over there, I'm so that much more grateful and appreciative of the sacrifices my family made so that I can live in the life that I live, that I have, and that I can give that life to the future generations, for my daughter and her generation, so on and so forth. So it's been, like I said, it's still a learning, walking experience for me going through all of this now.
Wow.
So your cousins, tell Natalie about your cousins getting harassed because they didn't leave.
Aww.
Well, yeah, it wasn't really my cousins, but I know, like, my grandfather on my father's side.
There you go.
After my father had left the country with my mother to come to America, the communist government, the soldiers and the officials, or whatever you want to call them, they kept coming to my grandparents' home, harassing my grandfather. Hey, we know you have a son that that was an officer in the South Vietnamese military. Where is he now? What's he doing? We know you have ties to America, this, and that. I mean, they just made it difficult, to just exist normally, to go about their normal daily lives. And because of my grandparents' supposed ties to my father, and my father, going to the enemy now, living in America now, that they viewed my grandparents as enemies in a way. They made it difficult. They made it difficult for my uncle to find good employment, to keep good employment, just because of association of the fact that he had a brother in America.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. It is so crazy.
Do you speak
Again,
Vietnamese?
I'm just appreciative of every experience that I've had and everything that I've gone out there to do and endeavor, and it's just been a blast, and I'm not even halfway near the tipping point of where I want to be and what I want to do and what I want to accomplish. But again, that's because my parents sacrificed so that I can live in a country where I can do that and create my opportunities and create whatever it is that I want out there.
Right.
Do you speak Vietnamese?
I do. I speak Vietnamese, I read it, and I also write.
Wow.
I gotta be honest with you, I was not a happy camper when I was growing up, and my mom would force these lessons on me because they were always on the weekends,
Yeah.
When you're a kid, you want your weekends to play and hang out. But my
Right.
weekends were, okay, you gotta read this many passages, and then you're gonna read to me again tomorrow. Or I want you to write this and practice write this so many times. I gotta be honest with you, being a spoiled little American kid, I hated it. I hated it, and if I didn't do it, I had certain restrictions or certain punishments. I hated it. But now, as an adult, I'm so forever, eternally grateful that my mom took time out of her busy schedule, took time out of all the hats that mothers wear, like you can attest to as both of us being mothers now,
Mm-hmm.
and taking that time extra to teach me this stuff. One thing that blows people away sometimes is, especially when I went to Vietnam, I stuck out like a sore thumb. I might look, ethnically Vietnamese, but physically, nothing nowhere close to like those people there. I mean, if you want to, this is probably an exaggeration, but I'm probably like a triple X or a quadruple X size compared to most females over there, right? So I stick out. But what threw them for a loop was when they tried to talk smack about me, I understood. And when I responded back in Vietnamese, that threw them for a loop. Like that look of shock and that gasp and that, mouth open, the eyes getting big, like, oh crap, you understand? And then for me to be able to speak it back and they tell me, oh my goodness, you speak it so well and so fluently. If it wasn't for your size or your mannerism, I would have thought you're Vietnamese. Well, I am. I'm just not from here.
Yeah. Did you pass that down to your daughter? Does she speak it?
She does speak it, but she's at that phase where, again, I can relate because I was at that phase once where she's like embarrassed to want to speak it.
Oh, okay.
And I tell her, I go, look, listen, mommy used to feel the same way. Mommy used to think like you do, but you don't understand how amazing it is to be able to speak a different language. And I said, and this is your roots. This is where, our family originated from, and you can't forget from where you came from, because if you don't know where you come from, where are you going to go in life? Where are you going to be? That's part of your identity. That's part of who you are. So she'll be like, yes, Mom. Okay, Mom. I haven't quite sat her down to do the writing and the reading yet, so she's only got the speaking. But I got to tell you, her Vietnamese is a lot stronger than some of my adult cousins, some of my younger cousins that are adults now. She speaks better than some of them.
Wow.
And that, again, that is also, I can't take full credit for that. I have to give my parents credit for that, because she grew up as a baby up until now around my parents. So when she's around my parents, she has to speak Vietnamese.
Ah.
So that has made her have to learn it better and speak it better.
Right.
And, to be honest with you, before she started going to school, all she knew was Vietnamese, because that's all was spoken at home. And my brother came home one day from school, and he goes, how is it that a second generation born sounds like a first generation just came over here from the motherland? And I started laughing. And vice versa. I had the same experience. I was at my parents' home one day, and my uncle called, and I, because he's not used to me picking up the phone, because I don't live with them. So I picked up their phone and I answered it. Yeah, like I would anything else. Hello, how's it going? How can I help you? And he goes, oh, I'm sorry, I got the wrong number. I go, whoa, don't hang up. Is this Uncle so-and-so? He goes, yeah. How do you know? And I'm like, Uncle Bang, because his name's Bang. I was like, it's me, it's your niece. And he goes, oh my God, you sounded like a white girl to me right now.
That's funny.
That's hilarious.
It was hilarious. He had me cracking. I go, you forget, I'm born and raised here. How am I supposed to sound? He goes, yeah, but I wasn't expecting you picking up their phone, so I thought for sure I had dialed the wrong number. I go, yeah, you're about to hang up on me.
That's funny.
So that was a good laugh.
Well, you had talked about your comic book, and I just imagine your comic book has like your generation, coming through the jungles of Vietnam to try to make it here. Yeah. And then you're on the other side with those sunglasses and that stance and that bounty hunter arms crossed look. It's like, heck yeah. I mean, that would be an awesome cover if you could somehow illustrate that.
I think that would be an awesome cover for sure. Like the how do you say it? The journey to get to where I am.
Yeah.
But even the comic book, I realize I have so much story that I can and put so much material I can grab from all my experience, put into these comic books, that I'm pretty excited about getting that project started as well. I had an artist that wants to be involved in it, but then I also Andrew, I don't know if you guys know, but he went to school for graphic design and cartoon animation and comics and drawing, and he's really good at it. And I had mentioned to him, I go, hey, I got this guy who's interested in wanting to do all this. What do you think? He goes, well, it's something you mentioned to me before, and he goes, if you want to go that route, of course, that's your project. You do, I respect it. He goes, but it would be a cool project that we could do together. So I said, yeah, you're right. So that project I kind of put on hold a little bit, because I want to give him the time to where we can both put our energy and time into it, because he'll be doing all the graphics for it. But I have the storylines. I'm drawing a lot of some of the storylines from the actual case files that I've worked.
Wow.
Wow.
So I'm working on, kind of writing into like a script form, to where like comic form where you read it. So that's what I'm working on right now, and then eventually we'll put our heads together, and he'll be the artist that brings it to life in picture form. But I have so many cases that I've worked. Some cases, majority of the cases that I worked, I've done myself. And then there's other cases where I've had to bring other partners or colleagues or whatnot in for backup. For whatever reason that I needed for it. But majority of the time when I was bounty hunting, I did it by myself. I was a one-woman show. I did the phone calls, I did the interviews, I did the knock and talks, I did the surveillance, I did the apprehension, the arrest, I did the transport, and I did the booking. So I have a lot of material.
Well, let us know when that comes out. We'll promote the heck out of it on our podcast.
Well, thank you so much.
We are almost
one of the first ones to know.
We are almost out of time. So
already?
55 minutes. So thank you for doing this with us. We love you. I like it that you and Natalie have a new collaboration.
Yeah.
Natalie,
super duper excited. Super duper excited, let me tell you.
You know, she's got so much stuff on her plate, but doing this, I'm super excited. I think it's going to be awesome. I can't see where you guys go with it. I can't wait to see what you guys do with it. So it'll be really cool.
I feel the same way, Wes. I just think that once we get into it, it's going to be such a fun experience that we'll be able to share, with one another, and something cool that we could do with each other. And I think that's only going to help our friendship and our bond grow stronger and stronger each time. Absolutely. I got to tell you guys, every time I speak to you guys, it's like there's no time lost in between, really. Like, yeah, you guys live in a different state, and, we touch base with each other here and there, but I don't feel that distance between us. I don't feel like a stranger to you guys. You know what I mean? Like, I genuinely, I am grateful and appreciative of our friendship. And like I said, the other day, I think I texted you and I said, hey, thanks, brother. I go, because truly, I don't see you guys differently as my family members. I really don't.
Oh,
I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. And I appreciate you guys always keeping me in your hearts and minds. So and I do the same. So I just want to put it out there. This is amazing, and it's only the beginning. Well,
and I told you, 24 hours a day. If you ever need me, you just call.
And the same applies to you guys. 24-hour a day. I'm only a text or a phone call away. That's it.
How can people find you? Do you have a website?
I'm building that website.
Okay.
I have a domain right now, but it's for a different business, so I don't want to get into that.
Okay.
If they want to get in touch with me now directly, the easiest way is to email me. I check my emails daily, so if they want to get in touch with me before everything else is up, my email is the best way to go about it.
And what is that?
And my email address is Lotus, Lotus, Consultants, Consultants, 88 at gmail.com, and that's number 88. So.
And your Instagram? Do you have? Can people contact you there?
Let me pull it up because I don't look at my handle because I know it's myself. My Instagram is Huntress702.
Huntress702.
Yes.
All right, and you're holding a gun and you got your sunglasses on in the picture, right?
Yeah, I believe I'm holding my shotgun.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Like I said,
a
million times in this podcast, we really don't curse in our podcast. Ass isn't much of a... But I've said ass in this podcast more than I've said badass. That's what you are. Yeah. Hey, thank you, Wen. Stay on the line real fast. We just got a couple plugs, and then we'll wrap everything up. Thank you. I love you. We'll see you soon. Natalie and I are hoping to do a trip to Vegas just by ourselves if we can find a babysitter for babies and Lana. So we're definitely going to hook you up when we get out there.
I want to. I just don't know who's going to take care of two.
Don't be negative. Don't put negative thoughts. Mm-hmm. We'll get it worked.
No, think positive. It will work itself out. So I'm put it out in the universe that you're going to make this Vegas trip just to two you guys, and you're going to find the right babysitters and the right support system so you guys can have your time out here. It will happen.
And we'll put the podcast out, make sure we send it to our friends and family, and we'll have volunteers because they'll feel bad for us.
There you go. See?
Hey.
Yeah, well, it has to be somebody I trust 120 million%. So.
All right, hold on. I got a couple plugs. Let's wrap everything up. On January 28th at 7 p.m., Natalie and I'll be performing our full evening Magic and Illusion show live on stage, but zoomed into the comfort of your living room. This is a fundraiser show for a couple different schools, and ticket prices are crazy low priced. For tickets, go to eventbrite.com and just search Wes Iseli. Our TV show, Wes Iseli's Magiclife, has been picked up by Golden Media Syndication. They're selling our show across the country right now, so check your local listings. If we're not in your area, you can check your local cable provider, and hopefully we'll be soon. And one of our companies that we deal with is also Nudu. I think that's the Houston market that we're in. They also have a streaming service on Nudu, which is on Roku. So if you go to Roku, look at Nudu, and then search for Wes Iseli's Magiclife, you can watch some episodes if we're not in your area now. So check that out. And check out wesisley.com for our merch. That's logo t-shirts, my TV podcast t-shirt, Magic Man hats, stickers, playing cards, and more. See you next week. Check us out online at wesisley.com and patreon.com/Wes_Isley for behind-the-scenes videos, blooper videos, never-before-seen footage, discounts on merchandise, magic trick tutorials, and more. That's Wes Iseli, spelled Wesiseli.